My serial killer is Robert Hansen. His early childhood, he was born February 15th, 1939 in Estersville, Iowa. His parents are Edna and Christian Hansen. He grew up in a very strict Christian household, and he was the oldest child and only had one sibling. He had a very draining relationship with his father that was abusive. He was forced to work very long hours and extremely shy and physically scarred from acne in school. His schooling. He attended Pocahontas High School in Iowa. He graduated in the late 1950s. He was socially uneasy and out of place. He was bullied for his stutter and his acne and had no friends. Girls ignored him in school, and he wasn't the best in school, but he wasn't failing. His early adulthood. He moved to Richmond, California in 1941, but returned to Iowa in 1949. He enlisted in the Army in 1957. He was discharged from the Army after only serving a year. After leaving the Army, he worked as a drill instructor for the police academy. His marriage and social life. He married a younger woman in the 1960s but divorced shortly after in 1963. He served time for arson and then remarried in 1963 to Darla, and they went on to have two children. Crimes began in 1960 as revenge for bullying as a child and continued with petty theft. What could have caused these murders? He had a very abusive father, and his father was known as the big old mean guy in town. He forced him to work with his non-dominant hand, which was right. He was emotionally distanced from his father and saw sex workers as they were easy targets. The media reacted by connecting them with other unsolved murders and missing women. The media also showed people how much the FBI had improved. The community was very shocked and felt betrayed by a friendly baker in town. They were scared that they had just let it happen right in front of them, and he was later known as the Butcher Baker. Crimes committed and legal proceedings. After marrying his second wife, they moved to Anchorage, Alaska in 1967. While in Alaska, his interest in hunting grew. Crimes advanced to murder, kidnapping, and rape in 1971. He would lure sex women and then rape them and murder them. This led to his arrest in 1971 for abducting and attempting to rape two separate women. He only served 6 months of his 5-year sentence and moved to a halfway house. In 1976, he pleaded guilty to larceny after attempting to steal a chainsaw. Sometimes he would rape them, return them, and then threaten them to not say anything, and his prison time was reduced to time served. His crimes committed timeline. In 1971, his first victim that was led to murder was Celia Van Zanten. He allegedly kidnapped and assaulted her. Before she escaped, she froze to death after trying to escape Hansen. In 1983, Cindy Paulson was kidnapped and sexed and held at gunpoint, where he took her to his home. He raped and tortured her, and before this, he tried to sneak her onto his plane. She managed to escape at the airport and seek help. Paulson's testimony led police to track down Hansen and search his home, which they discovered many items from the murder victims. His murder connections. Hansen's home was searched, later on confessed, where he had a map that marked X on the spot where all the bodies were. They discovered many different jewelries and rifles and interrogated Hansen and had a breakthrough. They informed Hansen that they will search his map after spring thaw. The confession. Hansen admitted to 17 deaths in exchange for a lighter sentence in 1983. He admits to targeting women as early as 1971 from ages 16 to 41. He's sentenced to 461 years without possibility on parole. Research shows that all of his training and experience as agent kept Hansen where he was never even a suspect. Technology during this time. Ballistics, they found a gun at his place and matched the bullets to the ones that were used at the crime scene. Then they used fingerprint databases, which were unreliable and took months to find and didn't work. So they went to criminal profiling, and it matched all of his things on his profile. The communication technology. GPS tracking and usage limited and costly, which limits the use by the public during this time. It wasn't fully transitioned for civilians until 1983. Surveillance cameras were used during this time. Security cameras were quite large and bulky, making them obvious when they were in use. Antisocial personality disorder signs. So we think that Robert Hansen had these three symptoms. So he showed no remorse, he manipulated and repeated the same crime in his criminal behavior. Hansen's symptoms, he kidnapped, raped, and murdered people and showed no remorse. Paraphyletic disorder, it's strong sexual thoughts that can lead to unstable relationships. He has to be in control and he always harms his victims when he doesn't get his way. Hansen's signs were he abducted sex workers, he hunted his victims down for satisfaction and sexual pleasure from being in control of his victims. Dissociative identity disorder symptoms. He would live a double life, one normal and one dysfunctional, two or more personalities, and caused by memory gaps and trauma. Hansen showed this by keeping his crimes separate from his daily lives. He was very involved in the community and murdered in private. Was Robert Hansen a psychopath or a sociopath? A psychopath shows calculated his victims, used lots of strategic thinking, masked his behavior, showed no guilt, and blamed his victims. He treated it like a sport, which he was very good in hunting, and lived a double life. A sociopath only showed early criminal behavior and longer behavior growing up, so he showed more signs of being a psychopath. Prevention and treatments. He could have used therapy to teach him through his childhood trauma. It could have provided a safe place to share his private emotions, or he could have tried anger management, which have taught him how to control his anger, or could have taught him how to think rationally before reacting inappropriately. He was pronounced dead at the Alaska hospital at 75. Personal assessments. The project was on the serial killer named Robert Hansen, the butcher baker. I've never looked into what drives serial killers to do the crazy things that they do. Almost all serial killers start killing because of their past trauma. In chapter 15, it talks about how a disorder called the post-traumatic stress disorder. Hansen went through lots of traumatic things in his childhood when he was in school. Girls were very mean to him and eventually drove him to later on kill sex workers. He felt as they were easy. Hansen felt like he had control over them. Hansen is a great example on why you should always treat people with kindness, because you never know what the person is going through. My whole life I have been taught that one little comment can stick with somebody for the rest of their lives. And these are my references.